Now let's discover even more about layers and layers panel. So here, as you can see, we have 4 layers in our file. We can be hiding them by clicking on that one and dragging to hide all layers, or click and drag to show all layers, or even we can show only one layer and hide all other layers by pressing Alt or Option key and clicking on that layer for instance. That will be hiding all layers and only showing that layer. And we can show them again by clicking on that layer while holding Alt or Option key. And also we can be creating new layers by clicking that button in here, maybe to add or draw any design element. So let's maybe grab our brush tool, which you can find in here in your toolbar, selecting that one. And let's maybe start painting over her eyes in that image. And same as well on the other one. And it's also very recommended to rename your layers, just to easily identify them and keep your file organized. So we can double click on layer 5 to rename that layer, maybe I, then pressing return. And also we can right click our layers thumbnail to access more options for our layers, especially to identify our layers even better. So we can select medium thumbnails or even large ones. And also you can right click again to select clip thumbnails to layer bounce to see your layers better, or you can get them back as they were to see their location in your canvas. However, this might be quite hard to see small elements like those eyes in here. We can barely see them in that thumbnail. And also we can assign colors to our layers. So let's right click once again, maybe selecting red. That's also an additional way to identify your layers. This could be very handy if you have too many layers in your file. However, let me get those layers back to small thumbnail once again, so we can see more layers in our panel. And let's also remove that color. And also here in our layers panel, we have opacity control for each and every layer. So let's say you would like to reduce that newly created layer's opacity. We can be reducing that one from here while having our layer selected. So let's maybe select 50% or so. Now we can see some transparency in that layer, revealing some of her eyes. Or we can be sliding our mouse as well from here to control opacity as well. Or even while having our move tool selected, we can use digits. So for instance, we can be typing 60. That will be giving us 60% opacity. Or maybe 25 in a rapid way to get 25% opacity for our layer as well. And if you would like to get 10% opacity, you can be pressing 1. And for 5%, you can be pressing 0.5. Now we have only 5% opacity for that layer. However, let's get that one back to full opacity, maybe from here. And let's see how we can group our layers. So I'm going to be selecting maybe those 3 layers in here from 2 to 4, holding Shift key and clicking on layer 2 to select these layers. Then I'm going to be clicking that folder icon in here to create a group of these layers. We can be expanding that group to see our layers. And grouping layers will be helping us to easily move them together, or even applying the same effect on this group layer. So for instance, we can be using our move tool while having that group selected, and also we can rename that one, double clicking in here, 3 images. Then let's disable auto select feature, and now we can start moving those layers as one. Or also we can reduce their opacity as well. Instead of selecting each and every layer and applying the same effect, we can do that on multiple layers with only one click. And even we can add or remove layers from that group. So we can be selecting maybe layer 4 and drag that one outside, maybe above background layer, which will be getting that one out of that group. Or we can get that one back again by dragging that one inside in any desired order within our layers. Or we can ungroup these layers again by selecting our folder or our group and going to layer. Then you will find ungroup layers, or you can be using these shortcuts in here, Command or Control G to group layers, or Shift Command or Control G to ungroup them. And by the way, the same shortcuts can be used in Illustrator for the same reason as well. So let's ungroup these guys. Also, instead of grouping these layers, we can be linking them by clicking that icon in here, and you will be seeing that chain icon next to each layer of these linked layers. So if I select only layer 4 and I decide to move that layer, which is that one by the way, we will see that all linked layers are moving together, which is quite similar to grouping layers. However, grouping layers will be giving us more advantages like reducing opacity for all layers at once. So for instance, if I want to reduce opacity for layer 4, we can try that. We'll be going for 36. It's not going to be affecting other layers in that case. And in order to unlink those layers, we can be selecting all of them, pressing Shift and clicking on layer 2. Then we can be clicking the same icon once again to unlink those layers. However, let me undo a few steps to get them to their original position once again, pressing Command or Control Z multiple times, of course. And now let's go to that file in here, and let's say we would like to copy that layer from that file to our previous file. We can be pressing Command or Control C to copy that layer, then moving back to our file, then pressing Command or Control V to paste that one, and it's pasted in a very high scale because this one has a very high resolution for that file. So in that case, we need to scale that one down. We can be transforming that image, pressing Command or Control T. We will be seeing the bounding box around our image. We can be hovering to any of these corners and start dragging inside, and maybe also pressing Alt or Option key to scale that one to center, maybe all the way to here, and dragging that one up, scaling that one even more, and pressing return. And let's also move that one to here. Now let's assume that we have too many layers within our layers panel and we can't really find what we're looking for. We can start filtering these layers. So here we have some filtering options within our layers panel. We can search maybe by name instead of kind. So here we can type our layers name if we know them, of course. Maybe I in that case. And you will see only that layer in your layers panel, and you can turn that option off to disable filtering for your layers, so you can see all your layers back if you are confused, or you can get that one back on and remove that search to get all your layers back again. And let's also add maybe some type to our composition. So I'm gonna be selecting type tool and I'm gonna be clicking in here, and now we have that lorem ipsum type, which is dummy text. By the way, you can be typing anything instead, maybe gallery. And don't worry guys, we're going to be discovering type in Photoshop and type tools as well. However, for now, if you would like to type something in a simple way, you can be selecting your type tool, simply typing what you would like, then pressing that commit in here to execute that. And now you have that layer of type as well. Let's go ahead and select our move tool again. You can see that we have gallery layer in here, which is type layer, and also we have a smart object layer, which we are going to talk about in an entire chapter through that course. And also we have our regular layers like the one we created, and those that are including those images in here. So basically we have different types of layers in our layers panel. Some of them are special layers like type layer, smart object layer. So in that case, we can be also filtering our layers according to their type or kind, of course. So let's select kind once again, and you will be seeing these icons in here. So let's say we are only looking for those type layers. We can be clicking that one to see only that type layer, which is including gallery word in that case, or we can see only pixels by selecting that option and disabling that filter to see only those layers in here, including pixels of course. Or we can be looking for smart object layers by selecting that icon in here and disabling that one. So let's clear those filters and see how we can be merging our layers. So here we have that eye layer we just created, and also we have that layer 4, and let's say you would like to make them as one image. You can be selecting both of those layers by pressing Command or Control key and clicking on that layer, so we have both of them selected. In that case, we're not going to be linking them, we're not going to be grouping them. However, we're going to be making them as one single layer by going to that layers menu or options, clicking that hamburger menu, and you will find that merge layers option in here, Command or Control E. So we can be merging them from here, or we can be doing that as well from our layers menu. However, let me select those layers first, because I think I need to merge I along with layer 2, not layer 4. So I'm going to be pressing Command or Control for PC users, as I want to merge those two images in here, then going to layer, then selecting merge layers. Now they are only one layer, we can be hiding or showing them, which is not really amazing in most of the cases. And in that case, we have destroyed that image. We can no longer remove those eyes. Let's say we don't like that painting in here and we need to get rid of that painting. However, now it's not possible unless we undo that step pressing Command or Control Z. However, almost the only advantage of merging layers is that we are getting a lower file size, but in most cases we are destroying our layers that way. And also, speaking of destruction, let's go ahead and destroy that file by going to Layer. Then we can be flattening our image, which will be merging all these layers together, making that one as a JPEG image or a single layer image. So now we have all these layers flattened, and in that case we can no longer re-edit those layers or our composition. So instead of flattening your layers, you can be saving a copy of your file as a JPEG or PNG file format, which will be giving you also a single layer of your design without of course destroying your BSD file or TIFF file. So let's undo that, going to History panel, selecting that step, New Type Layer, where we had all our layers back. Feeling happy to see you guys once again. Then we can go to File, Save As, and we can save that one as a JPEG or even PNG file format. And now, since we're not trying to destroy our layers, let's see how we can be locking our layers and saving them by using those lock options in our layers panel as well. So let's maybe select that image in here, pressing Command or Control and clicking on that layer. Now we have that one selected, and let's say we would like to lock that layer in position. We can be selecting that option in here, as we have different locking options for each layer. So that one will be locking position. We can no longer move that layer because it's locked, as you can see. And let's also go ahead and show only that layer by holding Alt or Option key and clicking on that layer. And let's grab our brush tool and start painting like that. Now, as you can see, we can paint freely anywhere. However, if we enable that option to lock transparency, we will no longer be able to paint on those areas. So we'll be only able to paint on our image, but not in those transparent areas within our layer, which could be nice in many cases. Maybe you would like to fill that area with black only easily like that, as that option can be very handy in digital painting, by the way. So you can be freely painting without being afraid to hit outside of your borders. However, if we disable that lock and enable that one, we will no longer be able to paint anywhere, because that one will be locking painting on pixels and your layer in general. So let's disable that one, which is lock position. And by applying any locking feature, you will be seeing that lock in here, transparent lock. But let's say we would like to apply full lock on our layer, we can be selecting that lock icon in here, and you will be seeing that white lock on your layer, as in that case you can 3D paint on your layer or even move that one. So let's go back in time machine, selecting our history panel, going to that step again, getting my file back as it was. Now guys, we are getting very close to fully understand layers and their concept in Photoshop. So seeing you in next one and more about layers.